Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I'm very excited to have as my guest Dr. Norma T. Hollis. And let me tell you about Dr. Hollis. Dr. Norma Hollis has embarked on a roller coaster journey in the professional development industry, leading her to her fourth successful business. What sets her apart is that she ventured into entrepreneurship with no prior education in the business world, immediately after directing a nonprofit program. This bold move speaks volumes about her determination and faith in her vision. Throughout her career, Norma's businesses have always been at the forefront of progress and innovation. As a talented writer, Norma crafts programs that address needs of humanity and transforms them into effective training processes. Her first venture involved developing an early childhood assessment process, which proved instrumental in identifying early learning issues. Implementing the programs in Detroit and Southfield, Michigan, as well as Cleveland, Ohio, Norma made a tangible impact on the lives of countless children. Now Norma is poised to make her mark as in the corporate America, introducing her revolutionary authenticity concepts to organizations worldwide. Through her certification programs, she equips coaches, speakers, trainers, teachers, leaders, and change agents with the knowledge and tools to guide individuals and teams toward embracing their authentic selves. This transition into the corporate landscape underscores Norma's adaptability and ability to bring about profound, transformational change across various industries. I thought today we would talk about two aspects that are near and dear to my heart, and that is awareness and authenticity. And let's find out how those are tied together. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Norma Hollis. Hello, Norma.
Hello, Vicki. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on your show.
Yes, I've been looking forward to this since the first time that I met you on a Toastmaster meeting a while back. And yes, I was impressed with what you were talking about and knew that you would be a great guest for my podcast.
Thank you.
Before we get started, I always have an easy question for you. And so share with everyone where you live. What's your, where do you call home?
I call home, I say Los Angeles. I'm actually in Inglewood, California, which is getting a lot of notoriety. I was originally from Detroit, but I've been in LA now for all of my adult life. And it's his home. This is where my friends are. And this is where I lay down every night in Inglewood, California.
Well, you could think of worse places.
Right. The weather here is pretty good. It's been pretty cold lately, though, but the weather here is pretty good. It's one of the reasons why I moved here. The weather was very attractive to me.
Yeah. Atlanta is great. We have, generally mild temperatures, but right now we have the lows in the teens, which of course won't last very long, but still it's like, oh no.
Well, that reinforces, I thought about moving to Atlanta about a year ago, but I spent some time and I couldn't take the allergy, the pollen. And now I know I wouldn't take the cold weather either. So I'm glad I
Yeah.
didn't. That's a little cold.
When I moved here almost 40 years ago, my doctor said everything that you love about Atlanta gives you allergies. But
Oh,
yeah, there's some holistic things that I do now that kind of manage it pretty well.
yeah.
All right, so let's just get into this. We're going to talk about, again, awareness and authenticity. But I gave really your accolades and how you've gone from a business entrepreneurship perspective, but let's talk about you, the person, and that journey that took you from where you were as a young person to where you are today.
Well, it has been what I call, as you said in the introduction, a roller coaster ride for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think my journey started very young when I was 8, and I had a hole in my eardrum that was an infection that could only be resolved from an acid feeling solution they would put inside of my ear. And obviously that was very, very, very traumatic. And that was followed by 2 years of tremendous earaches that really just shifted my life in so many ways. And that's when I was kind of curious, why is it? What happens to adults? What happens to children when they become adults? Because they just weren't attentive sufficiently to what I was going through.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it. When I was 28 is the next phase where something significant happened. And that's when I realized I had become my parents' version of who they thought I should be as a Black woman in America. And to be safe, be a teacher, a doctor, or a lawyer. Those are your 3 choices, which I didn't like any of them. But anyway, I went to the teaching route, but I decided to do early childhood, which was a new industry at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But at 28, I realized, here I am doing all this stuff. I'm married and I don't really like this guy. And I'm not really happy. We have the cars and the house and money in the bank and all those things, but I was miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who I was. And that's when my journey really started, because that's when I started to unpack myself, to dissect myself, to kind of step back out of life and take some time and really, because I have a gift of going inside. And I went inside to get some information, and I didn't know it would take me 30 years, but I studied myself for 30 years. And that study, that revelation that I learned through study and following my inner voice is what turned into my authenticity grid and my authenticity process. So I've just been building on that. So I spent 30 years researching and writing. Then I spent 12 years figuring out, so what is it? Because it kind of came through me. It wasn't like, me, it was me following my inner voice, so to speak, and just following the direction that was coming internally. And so it took me 12 years to figure out what it is, and then 3 more years to figure out what do I do with it, and another year to figure out, so who's going to help me? So,
No.
so that's kind of where I am now. So I've just brought on some executive team. We're in the process of looking for investors. We actually had a 7-figure investor wanting to invest in the program, and just yesterday I turned them down because they had they didn't really want me to be authentic. And I'm this is what I've done all my life. You're not getting it.
Yeah. Oh.
But there's more. I mean, we'll find more. We're not even worried about
absolutely.
if you got one, there's more. So we'll find some that are more aligned with our authenticity philosophies. Yeah.
So as I was doing my research on you, I came across so many great videos out there. Y'all, she has great videos to watch, and some are short and some are extensive, but she has a few with Les Brown. Les Brown is from Atlanta here, and I love Les Brown. And so in that interview, you mentioned that you realized that your mentors early on, your parents, were not preparing you for what you were to encounter in your life. So I'd like for you to just spend a few minutes just talking about that to really give us some perspective.
Well, that's an interesting, loaded question in a sense, because I came to the planet a lot like a lot of today's children, very much aware that I came here to do something, to make a difference.
Yeah.
And I talked about it all the time. And nobody in my family got it. And I even think they brought somebody over in the family who, I don't know what he did, but he interviewed me and did an assessment of me. And the final conclusion was just ignore it. But, So as a result, I grew up very confused, unvalidated, but I would not move from what I knew I was here to do. Now, in this generation, in the senior citizens of my life, my sister, we're born in the same year, she in January and me in December. And she gave me a lot of grief along the way, especially when I was in the challenging times of getting through this. And and she was married to somebody that didn't get it, and he was influencing her a lot, I know. But now she really gets it. She applauds me for what I've done. And my daughter and my niece that I raised as my daughter, just, she experienced the challenges that I went through and the steadfastness that I held to what I knew I was here to do. And so that's really what I teach now, because I can teach it from my own experience.
Yeah.
That if your inner voice is telling you you're here to do something, then doggone it, do it. Because society will move you away from that every chance it gets. And I'm just so delighted that I can tell them that, I had a 7-figure investor, but I had to tell them no. So they're like, whoa, because like my mother said one time, oh, I thought you were just talking. No, this is deeper than that. But you don't realize sometimes how much it hurts and how much it takes, and it took away from my authenticity because I had to be someone that I wasn't. And I'm reminded of when I went to college, and my father in his last days was he wasn't thinking straight, and he thought he was talking about his wife, but he was mimicking me and saying, in early childhood, why would you go into that? Well, you could have told me that when I first started, because when I went into it, it wasn't until I graduated that I realized you don't make any money in early childhood, that I had to be a director if I wanted to make any money. But I'm really a creative person. So I've been this director for 10, 15 years, 20 years, whatever. And so that shifted me. So I've been able now to shift back to my creative side. But I couldn't really do that. That's really just in the last few months, really. And that's because I brought on an executive team, because I understand. I actually had to fire myself as the president of my company. So I tried and tried and tried, but I can't do this. I'm not a CEO. I'm a visionary, yes, but I'm not a day-to-day operations. And I've grown this thing bigger than I can handle. So I had to realize that and be willing to step back and let someone else take the helm. And now that I've had it, she's just really started full time in November, which, well, I just say 2 or 3 months ago. And with all that she's doing, I said, there's no way in heck I could have ever done all that, because my gift is sharing with people. My gift is researching. My gift is helping people be authentic and be more aware of who they are in the world. So I am finally, after all these decades, on my own authentic, and I've been on my authentic path, but now ready to live my authentic life, not just help others, but actually live my authentic life. And it's just delightful. Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to talk about the two-sided piece, the awareness. Like there are all these things that we do sort of robotically, and we fail to be aware of really what makes us happy, be aware of what makes us frustrated and angry. We just keep on doing it, maybe chasing the money or whatnot. And then we really don't become our authentic self until you have that awareness.
Well, it really starts in early childhood, which is, I think, maybe why I was guided to go into that, early. Because what happens is children, it happens in 2 ways. First, and you're very, very, very young, in infancy even, young children realize that they have to please their parents. They can't cry when they want to cry. They can't, jump and run, whatever. There's always restrictions. There's all these no's that come up, So they're necessary without a doubt. As a matter of fact, the research says that for every negative a child hears, every no they hear, they need 3 positives to counterback that negative. That doesn't happen. Yeah. But then the other part of it is when they get to preschool, they learn in preschool, they've got all these gifts. They can sing, they like to drum, they like to run around, and their friends love it. The teacher loves it. And they go home and they sing for mama, or they play the drums, and mama says, you made too much noise. Yeah, right. Go watch TV, or don't do that. And so they cower back. And that just happens over and over and over and over again. So by the time a child really enters kindergarten and first grade, they've already succumbed to the demands and the requirements of others because they have to have attachment. They have to be attached to their parents. So they have to just juggle between authenticity, be myself, or attachment with my parents. Well, I can't eat and have it. I'm not happy and I get spanked and stuff if I don't do what my parents say. So this is what I have to do. So we give it up very early. And then some never, ever, ever get it back. They go from preschool freedom to kindergarten, first grade, raise your hand, do what I say, and they end up in cubicles, do what I say. And so the independence, the authenticity gets lost along the way somewhere and sometimes never reclaimed.
Yeah. That a lot of what you're saying, I see whenever I'm trying to work with both adults and student and kids on finding their voice, and all of those things stay in their back, your subconscious, and that's what keeps them from being confident, and that's what keeps them from being able to speak out and share their ideas and their voice, because they hear all those negative things that you said.
Yes.
So talk to me about why it's important to have courage to make small changes to discover and realize your authentic self. I think sometimes we want to try to climb Mount Everest when we really should just do the small steps to get there.
Well, even Everest takes one step at a time. So that's what life is about, one step at a time. I always encourage people to tweak their life, tweak their way to transformation. And by tweaking, I mean one small change. If you make one small change in your life and you try it for 30 to 90 days, and if it works, fine. If not, do something else or, keep adding on to the tweaks. I've done that in many ways in my life. For example, my ear, when I was a child, I ended up taking antibiotics for 40 years. And anyone that knows about antibiotics knows that that's not healthy for you. So I have, once I've learned that, and I ended up having a lot of problems as a result of that, every January I tweak my diet. Every January I try something different. So this year was the most successful because I became a vegan, 90% vegan this year. And my body loves it. I've done a lot of little things like I gave up meat and do this, go vegetarian, do this, and try different things. But the vegan, my body is loving. So that took about a decade and a half really to really get to that point. But I would just do a tweak every year. Another example I'll give is I work at home, been doing that for years. And one day I was out in rush hour traffic trying to get home. And it was taking 5 lights to go 1 block. And I'm just not that patient, and I wasn't prepared. But I knew where home was, and if I just made a series of right and left turns, I would eventually get there. It would be a more adventurous trip, which I like adventure. It'd be more pleasant, I wouldn't be impatient. I might be a little bit, but it wouldn't be like 5 lights, per block.
Yeah.
So I got home, it was fine. So that was a tweak. So those are examples of small tweaks you can take. And you don't have to wait a year to do each one. You can do one every 30 to 90 days. But if you do one and you see it works, fine. Try another tweak. And eventually you emerge as a different person, as an evolved person, as a more authentic person, because you've aligned yourself and your activities with the trueness of who you are on the inside. And that's what we're missing. We follow society so much and we don't stop and reflect and assess. And what I help people do is I give them a guide to reflecting and assessing on their lives so they can figure out, what do I want to tweak? What can I tweak? What should I tweak? And wow, look at the difference it's making. So, and it's not, I know we're in a microwave world right now, so it doesn't happen overnight. So don't ever expect you can wake up and all of a sudden you're changed and you're authentic all of a sudden. It takes time, but that assessment and reflection is just so valuable and causes you to really know yourself better and get more courage. One of the things that my students tell me is that when they get more authentic, they have more courage to be themselves. Yeah. And that's what I found was the biggest challenge when I did research about 3 years ago with people. What's their greatest fear, frustration, or challenge regarding authenticity? And number one was just saying what's on my mind, just being comfortable to say no matter, and not worry about the consequences. So that's what makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that holds people back. They just worry so much about what other people think and what they say, and the people you surround yourself with will hold you back from truly being your authentic self until you get to that point. And you you believe in yourself, you trust that you know yourself, and everybody is welcome to their opinion, but you know, it's just like anything. It's just their opinion and it doesn't
Yeah.
define you.
And becoming more authentic oftentimes means letting go of relationships and friends. So, and sometimes permanently, sometimes temporarily. I had to separate myself from my family for a few years just because of that, because I had to just erase, I have to go find myself now. I can't be influenced by your negativity, but you're not understanding me. But we're reconciled now, but I had to do that because I was drowning. I was lost, and it did not feel good to me. The second response that I got that was the highest from my research was that people wanted to know, what does it feel like to be authentic? How does it feel? So it feels good. So if you're not feeling good, you're not being authentic. Chances are it's connected in many ways. Yeah.
For sure. So how do we live a life with no regrets? And why is this essential to our success?
You know, I learned a few years ago that the number one regret of people in senior citizens' homes is that they did not live life to their own desire. They followed somebody else's. And a friend just told me this just maybe 2 days ago. I haven't researched it yet. But she said that the percentage of people who are not happy with their lives is, she said 98%. I have to research that to see if that's true. But I know it's high, but I didn't expect the number to be that high. So I'm going to be researching that to see, but it's a high number. So people are going through the motions. They are following what society is saying, and it's making a mess of everything, which is sad. The research also says that most people just want to be told what to do. And the way that computers are going and what have you, even with our phones, we've lost critical thinking. You know, there was a time when we had to memorize phone numbers and know how to get somewhere. You just didn't push a button on GPS and you knew people's numbers. Now you don't have to know anything. All you have to do is push a button. So it's making us, you know, a very complacent in our thinking. And, you know, thinking is a critical part of who we are as human beings. So that's another trend that takes away from awareness and away from authenticity that people need to address.
So true. So we're talking about authenticity, and we see behind you the authenticity grid. So tell us, you know, really, what is it and why did you create it?
Well, it started again when I was 28, and that's when I was confused and knew I was not married, not on the right path, not on my authentic path. And that's when I decided to take time and discover, well, who am I anyway? And in so doing, I discovered that I have an inner voice that no one hears but me. I have an outer voice that represents who I become in the world. And I have the outer voice is how other people see me. And then the expressive voice is who I become in the world and how I live my life day to day. At the time, I had a speaker bureau. So I traveled the country meeting speakers from city to city and giving presentations on my authenticity grid. And I found that everyone that I talked to saw themselves in the same way. They appreciated this, and that was the start. So I started doing this by a hooked rug. This is a rug that I hooked. But the first one that I did was 9 animals because I was feeling these energies in me. And I could only identify them at that time by the name of an animal. Like a jaguar is different than a snail, okay? And a tarantula, for example, with all of its, you know, tentacles and what have you, versus a horse, you know. So every one had a different animal. And over a 30-year period of understanding myself, and researching a number of esoteric things, numerology, astrology, and stuff about the earth and just a whole bunch of stuff. I put it together as a grid. And then when I went around the country and tested it, I found that people not only were they excited about it, but then I spent 12 years figuring out, how does this thing work? Because it really kind of came through me. It came through me listening to my inner voice. And I'm still discovering things about it. Like I just realized about a couple months ago that my middle one of outer voice not only means how people see you, but it also means how you take care of yourself. It also has to do with
Oh.
self-care, which is very
Ah,
important. So
yeah.
yeah, and that now I've trained a lot of people, a lot of people on my team now who help teach this, and I'm learning from them because they have different perspectives of it. They talk about it and they use different terms or they've expanded on it. So I'm now letting it go and not letting it go, but allowing them to be the trainers. I don't train anymore, they do. And I go do other things like do podcasts and teach people in those ways. But yeah, it's been a delightful journey, and I'm just really thrilled at how valuable the grid is and how it's really helping people to gain their
For
courage,
sure.
awareness, and be more authentic. Yeah.
Awesome. So your website has a section that I thought was really helpful called Activating Authenticity, and
Mhm.
it breaks it down into 4 paths. So if you could just share a bit more about those 4 paths.
Well, the paths that we have are paths to help you become more authentic. And one of them is our entry level program, which is a membership. It's called Amplify Your Authenticity Club. And that's like a do it yourself for people who don't necessarily want to be in a group so much, but you want to go at your own pace. And so there are classes on each of the 9 dimensions of authenticity, and it helps you to reflect and assess at your own pace. It also includes all of our programs include our Authentic Life Membership Circle, which is every Tuesday. We bring the community together and we talk about each one of the dimensions for 4 weeks straight, and we bring outside speakers because part of the objective is to give people new perspectives. One of
Yeah.
the things everyone says that leaves my program is that how much they enjoy hearing about how other people live their lives and how they make decisions. Because we only generally just make one decision. We're looking at our life in a tunnel vision. But when you
Mhm.
see this person had a similar problem, that's how they did it, and this one did it this way, it really helps you look at options. I
Yeah.
believe options in life are so important. So it gives you a way to look at how other people look differently at a situation, and that's where we grow. Education and growth, to me, is about more perspectives. So that way people grow more in their self-awareness, in their authenticity, and in their commitment to be more self-aware and step into their authenticity. So another program I have is my signature program, which is called Reclaim Your Authentic Life. That's an 11-week program that's taught by one of my trainers. And actually, it's a group of 2 people that trained at that time. And it's 11 weeks of talking in a group about your life experiences in each of the 9 dimensions so that you can see how your intuition impacts your authenticity, how your
Mhm.
values and your integrity impacts your authenticity, and on. And so that one is very popular, and people in that course with more courage and confidence, where they would sit down slumped before, now they're sitting up because they know that they
Yeah.
know who they are. They're more
Yes.
confident. And it also connects them more with the more esoteric parts of lives that help to guide them and help to connect them. And then I have certification programs. Our popular one right now is called the Certified Authenticized Assessor. So we're looking for coaches who want to expand their practice. And with these coaches, we teach them the grid and how to administer the authenticity assessment and score it and use that as a way to work with their clients. One of the great values of that is that it not only helps them with their clients, it helps coaches become more authentic. It
Yeah.
helps them see how their focus area as a coach integrates with other aspects of human nature and human energy. And it also helps them authenticize their business because we have
Mhm.
some opportunities to partner with them in order to do that. And the value for coaches too is that once they do the assessment, it gives them a roadmap. If they look at their client scores, it gives them a roadmap for a long-term coaching relationship to
Yeah.
help them move from one dimension to another to help fortify themselves. And then our fourth path is as a facilitator. And this is the program where we teach you to be one of our corporate trainers. And that's a little more intensive. You become a coach. We have a coach certification too. We have a speaker certification, but the facilitator brings all of those together. So you're able to coach as a facilitator. You're able to speak in corporate or other environments, and you're able to lead and train the programs that I just mentioned to you. So those are the
That's
four paths.
awesome.
There's stair steps. People can start wherever they want, and we're always looking for people. We're growing rapidly right now, entering corporate America with my new executive team. So we're actively looking
Nice.
for more people that might like to be a part of it, speakers and coaches particularly, and especially in other kind of leaders, soft skill leaders.
Well, we'll maybe have to talk.
Well,
All right. The final question is for rapid fire is, what is your main goal for this 2024? What do you wish for you and your team to accomplish in this new year that we've got?
Well, I'm looking for a huge expansion of the work that I've done. I've spent 44 years developing this, not knowing quite how to get it out there in the world. And now I have a team that knows. Well, right now we're looking for investors. In fact, I've shared this before with other places where I've spoken, but just this week, I had an investor with a 7-figure offer that I turned down. And I turned it down because they wanted to restrict my ability to speak authentically. And I'm all about authenticity. How can I not say what's in my heart to say? That's what I've been working on all my life. So I'm not looking, I mean, the money is great, but not that important. I'm not going to give up what I've done 44 years preparing. And I hope
it wouldn't be authentic.
It would not be authentic. And I hope that's a message for somebody listening, that I know money is tough and it's tight. And I have done this on a shoestring for 44 years. You know, I want to get off the shoestring. I want to get off the bootstrapping. And I know it's possible, because if I had one 7-figure offer, there's more. So, and I don't have to even go find it. I have a president of the company that can go find that, and she's doing very good with that. So that's what I want this year, to really get it out there in the world. We do have a group that I'm training, an international group from South Africa and from Suriname, from South America, and from China. And so I hope for them to start training by the second half of this year as well. Awesome. So we have classes going on internationally, but there's a different time zone. So they can support that time zone and we can support this time zone, and then to keep growing and expanding. So it's all about expansion for me this year.
It sounds very exciting, and I wish you all the best in that.
Thank you so much.
Needed. It truly is so needed. You know, as I interview all these people over the last 2 years, that, you know, authenticity is something that a lot of people are striving for, and it's something that's missing from their achieving success. So definitely. Yes.
And some people don't even know, they know something's missing, but don't know what it is.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
What it is. That's what it is. We've lost it. Yeah. So.
And I teach leading from the heart, the head, and the hands. And so it falls so nicely into your grid as to, you know, especially starting with that first thing, the intuition.
Yes.
Trusting
where it all starts. Yeah, that's where authenticity starts, right there in that inner voice. Yes, it does.
All right. Well, I am going to share my screen for those of you that are just listening. You know, you should have had paper and pencil, taking notes the whole time. But if not, you can go to my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. Please subscribe. And my findyourleadershipconfidence.com to see the show notes and get all these things on the slide. But if you are listening or watching, you can take a screenshot and I will read the website information for you. So it's easy. The website is just normahollis.com. Makes it easy, normahollis.com. On Facebook, you can find her at Norma T. Hollis. Those are initial caps there. Instagram is Norma Hollis. LinkedIn is Norma Hollis. And yes, she has a company page, and that's Norma-Hollis-Group. So you want to check out all those things. But I'm going to turn it over to Norma to talk about her call to action, that authenticity assessment, and then what other things you can find on her website. Norma?
Yes, well, I certainly invite you to take the assessment. It is a simple 9 questions, and it will give you where your strengths and vulnerabilities are in your own authenticity within the 9 dimensions of authenticity. Once you finish the assessment, you will receive some emails, and one of them or more will invite you for a conversation with myself or one of our team members. So I encourage you to do that, because they can take your scores and put them on the grid and give you some brand new perspectives of who you are and where you're going and where you might have some gaps in your own authenticity. So I encourage you to do that. You can get it by, if you just go to the website, normahollis.com, and scroll down, you'll see it there. And you'll also see a short video to explain the grid to you. You can also go directly to it by authenticityassessment.com. So on my website, we're all about activating your authenticity. And so I told you about the programs that we have, and you'll learn more on the website. You'll meet some of my team members. You will learn about the grid. You'll see more information about the programs I told you about. You'll also be able to see about our movement into corporate America and our corporate programs. We are particularly interested in getting to companies that want to build more engagement in their companies, because that's what authenticity does. It helps build engagement. It breaks down barriers and helps to make more cohesive teams. So we'd be more than delighted to talk with you about it. And I'm also particularly looking for coaches, speakers, and leaders that would like that value authenticity, that would like to learn more about our training programs and potentially join our team. We have a great team, and we're all working to be more and more authentic and to help the world be more authentic as well.
Awesome. Well, Norma, I knew it would be great talking with you again. So needed today after the pandemic. A lot of people started to have, they were forced to start to reflect on their lives and where they are, and, are they being aware and authentic? And so I think this is just a perfect time to start to build your business and really help change the world.
Yes, the world needs some help. So here we
surely
are.
does.
That's why we're here. Yes, let's make it happen. Yeah.
So as always, I thank you for being a guest, and remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.